Thank you for watching Scary Bear Attacks. If you like this episode, please remember to hit the like button and leave a comment or two, then subscribe and click on the bell to receive notifications of whenever we release new videos. Also, please remember to share them to your social media.
Welcome back to Scary Bear Attacks. Today's episode takes us to a resort town nestled in the mountains, Aspen, Colorado. Aspen lies in the heart of Colorado's Rocky Mountains, surrounded by lush forests, rugged mountains, and alpine lakes. With elevations ranging from 7,900 to over 14,000 feet, the area is home to a variety of wildlife, including mule deer, elk, and a lonesome moose or two. The predators include bobcats, coyotes, mountain lions, and black bears. The surrounding forest hosts stands of aspen, spruce, and pine trees mixed with berry-producing shrubs and meadows, making it an ideal habitat for black bears. The local black bear population, which varies in color from blonde to cinnamon to black, is drawn to residential areas by unsecured food sources, such as garbage and pet food. In an area called Castle Creek Valley, the Trinoskis were staying with friends while considering relocating to Aspen. They had seen the sights and taken in a few of the amenities, while Dave studied the business potential of the town. There seemed to be plenty of activities to do here, and since he enjoyed hiking, he knew he and his kids could meander immeasurable miles on the trails above town. Oh, and the skiing isn't too bad either. In the early morning hours of July 10th, 2022, 54-year-old Dave Trinoski from Ohio was vacationing with two of his 5 children at a friend's home in Aspen. His 12-year-old twins had accompanied their father as he considered relocating his law firm from Cleveland to Aspen. The caretaker of the property was the one who invited Dave and his family to stay in the main home of the property. A few different homes were spread out on the acreage, and bears had visited the property periodically over the recent years. The prior year, a bear had broken into the caretaker's quarters and the main home, where Dave and his kids were now staying. There had been no problems with bears in Dave's visits over the prior 5 years, but he was still on high alert for them, given the past incidents. Around 1:30 a.m., Trinoski was startled awake by the sound of the heavy front door shutting. Now, Dave was the kind of guy who always locked the door before he went to bed, so the sound made him uneasy. The door automatically closed behind anyone who entered it, and the fact that he could hear it close meant it was either opened by someone with a key or he had forgotten to lock it before heading to bed. Dave's first thought was that it may be a bear invading the home, but then his fears were assuaged by the more likely possibility of one of his kids retrieving an item from outside the home. He sat up in his bed and slowly crept toward the doorway of his bedroom and peered down the hallway. Stealthily making his way down the hallway, he glanced toward the stairway that led downstairs. His children were sleeping there, and he hoped to see one of them. Glancing back across the dining room, Dave could see a huge shadow in the dark of the kitchen. The door on the refrigerator was wide open and provided an ominous backlight for the bear's hulking outline. Concern for the safety of his children welled up in his mind, and he worked hard to gather his senses as the bear stared toward him from only a few feet away. Now, most people might lose their minds at this point and start screaming at the bear in an attempt to frighten it off. Dave did something more rational and strategic than most people would do. He quickly developed a plan to try to lure the bear out of the door of the home and away from his children. Dave slowly worked his way around the kitchen island to put an obstruction between himself and the bear. He talked quietly and gently to the bear, hoping to soothe it and help it calm down from his sudden appearance. Near the bear was the door to the garage, and Dave watched as the bear bit the handle and pulled the door open. Dave stared in amazement as the bear calmly walked into the garage, as if it were going to get into one of the cars and go home. The man couldn't believe how well his strategy to lure the bear outside the home had worked. He briskly walked over to the man door of the garage and leaned over to press the garage door opener. As soon as the opener rattled, as it lifted the garage door, the bear turned and dashed toward Dave and the open man door. As the bear dashed toward Dave, he tried to slam the door and lock it. By the time the door had almost closed, Dave was thrown back by the force of the bear, running into the door to get back inside the home. Dave turned in panic and ran down the hallway with the bear in close pursuit. Once back to the kitchen, the man again put the island between himself and the bear, but the bear was no longer following him. An eerie silence filled the house as Dave strained to hear where the bear had gone. Thoughts of it going downstairs to his children raced through Dave's mind. He couldn't stand that possibility looming, so he crept back to the garage door near the downstairs entrance. Dave found himself face to face with the bear as he came around a corner in the hallway. In a motion so quickly that Dave had no idea what had happened, the massive bear swatted him one time upside his head. Later describing the swat from the bear's paw like being hit in the head with a brick, Dave spun around and ran back around the corner. He yelled, "No, no, no," over and over. Feeling vulnerable and helpless, Dave watched as the bear walked back over to the man door and opened it once again using its mouth. The door unceremoniously closed behind the bear as it left Dave in pain, bleeding, and still terrified. Realizing this was his chance, Dave ran to the man door and locked it behind the bear. Blood trickled down his face as the gashes above his left eye, along his jaw, and on his neck seeped blood. Pictures of Dave's injuries are too graphic to pass YouTube standards, so I've posted them on my Patreon link below this video for your review. He grabbed a towel and tried to slow the bleeding as he dialed 911. As Dave was whisked to the hospital to receive sutures to close deep gashes to his face, jaw, and ear, wildlife officials from Colorado Parks and Wildlife were on their way to the attack site. During their brief conversation with Dave, he had indicated that he'd watched the bear open at least 4 doors, so the officers knew they had a bear very familiar with human homes and the food they contained. They immediately began tracking the giant bear and put an end to any threat it presented. After a short pursuit, they were forced to shoot and kill the bear per state policy regarding any bear involved in an attack on a human. They pulled DNA samples from the bear's carcass and compared them to DNA collected from saliva at the home. The samples matched, and they were certain they'd killed the bear that had invaded the home and attacked Dave. In their summary of the attack, officers concluded that the bear was habituated to human food sources. It wasn't surprised by Dave, as it protected an animal carcass, nor was it defending cubs, as there were none seen. Speaking of cubs, our Cub Tier membership on Patreon, linked below, will give you ad-free early access to our episodes, and the $3 per month goes a long way in helping me continue to produce educational and entertaining content like this. Following the attack, Dave stated that his calm demeanor at the beginning didn't seem to drive the bear away as much as yelling. Trinoski's quick thinking and efforts to protect his children likely prevented a worse outcome, but his injuries serve as a reminder of the risks of bear encounters. Colorado is home to an estimated 20,000 black bears, with most living in the mountainous regions. The CPW reports that black bears are normally wary of people, but their behavior can change during hyperphagia, especially when food is readily available. Between 2013 and 2022, Colorado recorded several bear attacks, with the majority occurring in areas where humans had failed to secure food properly. The CPW warns that bears may damage property, vehicles, and homes in search of easy calories. After reviewing the facts surrounding this episode, I'm left with a few questions for you. Should stricter regulations be imposed on residents and tourists in bear-prone areas to prevent encounters? Is managing bear populations around cities a way to balance human expansion with wildlife conservation? Do you think Dave will file a lawsuit against the bear to recover expenses for his medical bills? Given it's dead, it wouldn't do any good. I will gladly read and reply to your thoughts, so post them in the comments section below, and let's talk about it. Welcome back to Scary Bear Attacks. Today's episode takes us to Redondo Meadows in the Jemez Mountains in northern New Mexico. The Valles Calderas National Preserve lies within the Jemez Mountains and is similar to Yellowstone National Park in that it is high altitude and hosts fumaroles, volcanic domes, and hot springs. The preserve itself is a vast meadow encircled by forested hills, with elevations ranging from 8,500 to over 11,000 feet high. This unique geography fosters a diverse ecosystem where ponderosa pine, Doug fir, and quaking aspen thrive, along with native grasses and shrubs. The area is home to a variety of wildlife, including moose, mule deer, and over 8,000 head of elk. Keeping the population of these animals in balance requires predators like bobcats, coyotes, mountain lions, and black bears. Black bears in this region are known for their opportunistic feeding habits, especially during the late spring and summer months when cubs are being raised. As visitors flock to the preserve for hiking, running, and other outdoor activities, the chance of human-wildlife encounters increases, particularly when the bears feel their cubs are threatened. On Saturday, June 18, 2016, 53-year-old Karen Williams was participating in the annual Valles Caldera Marathon with its challenging terrain and temperatures. She was a U.S. military veteran from Los Alamos, New Mexico, and is no stranger to endurance challenges. Having participated in multiple marathons and triathlons, Williams was determined to complete the annual Valles Caldera Marathon and establish a personal best time doing it. At mile 23 of the race, Karen had gutted out most of the difficult portions of the course. She was in the home stretch and looked forward to recuperating from the rigors of the run. As she jogged along the trail near Redondo Meadows, 3 black shadows took form in her peripheral vision. Karen turned her head to more closely examine the shadows and realized she stood only 15 feet away from a sow black bear and 2 cubs. Now Karen was in running shorts, her racing top, and her registration number. She didn't have bear spray with her, nor was she carrying a firearm, as they would have been prohibitive in the competition. She was running a marathon, staffed with organizational personnel, and the course had been staked out, indicating there had been people traveling on it the last several days. As soon as Karen's eyes met the sow's, the bear wasted no time in bounding toward her. Karen was familiar with the threat a sow bear protecting her cubs could present, but never imagined she'd have to use her knowledge. She understood the sow would overtake her in only a few bounds, so she raised her arms over her head and screamed, hoping the sow would run off. Before Karen could do anything else, the sow was upon her and swatted deep gashes into her body as the woman stood frozen in fear. After a few swats to her body, the sow sent Karen reeling by striking her in the neck. Now lying on the ground, Karen pulled her legs beneath her and curled into a ball. The sow clawed her back as it bit and shook her violently. Now realizing her only option was to play dead, Karen did her best to make her body go limp. She laid face down and felt the bear tearing at her camelback hydration bladder and backpack. For several seconds, that felt like hours, the bear bit her neck and back, trying to make sure the woman was no threat to the sow and her cubs. After a few minutes of remaining still, Karen could see the sow slink off a few feet and glare at her. The sow was watching for any movement, and if Karen made any movements, the sow would have likely renewed her attack. But Karen somehow remained still, watching the sow and cubs depart the scene from the corner of her eye. Once the sow and cubs had disappeared from view, Karen hoped the worst was over. She felt terrible, and pain seared through her back and neck from the puncture wounds from the bear's teeth and the gashes ripped in her flesh. Karen glanced around as her head was spinning. She spotted a nearby shadow and crawled toward it. She knew her injuries and the trauma and confusion of the attack had sapped her energy. Waiting for help to come along was her only option, and it came along about 30 minutes later. As Karen watched hopefully down the trail, a participant in the marathon came bounding toward her. Too exhausted to do anything to draw the runner's attention, Karen was relieved when the runner looked toward her and began coming her way. In a brief discussion, the runner agreed to get help and immediately tracked down one of the officials of the race. After a series of communications, a medical helicopter was on its way with a crew of medics to help her. After patching up a few of her more serious wounds, they loaded Karen onto a litter and loaded her aboard the helicopter to rush her to a hospital in Albuquerque. After she arrived at the hospital, the medical staff there examined, cleaned, and sutured her wounds. Pictures of Karen's wounds would not pass YouTube guidelines, but have been posted on my Patreon account posted below for your review. They were labeled as non-life-threatening, but she was kept for observation anyway. While in the hospital, wildlife officers interviewed Karen about the attack and the circumstances surrounding it. She revealed that she saw a tracking collar around the bear's neck during the attack, and that gave the officials enough direction to begin searching for the bear. New Mexico law mandates the euthanasia of an animal involved in an attack on a human. Using GPS tracking from the bear's collar, officials from the New Mexico Department of Fish and Game tracked the sow and euthanized it near the attack site. The bear's cubs, initially elusive, were targeted for capture to be relocated to the New Mexico Wildlife Center in Espanola for rehabilitation. Speaking of cubs, our Cub Tier membership on Patreon, link below, will give you ad-free early access to our episodes, and the $3 per month goes a long way in helping me continue to produce educational and entertaining content like this. Although Karen would make a full recovery over the coming weeks and months, her scars are more than physical. The state of New Mexico hosts up to 9,000 black bears over its 121,000 square miles. This is a bear density of 13.4 square miles for each bear, but includes less than prime bear habitat and urban areas. This means that black bears are largely concentrated in the mountainous and forested regions of the state. After reviewing the facts surrounding Karen's black bear attack, I'm left with a few questions for you. What more could marathon organizers have done to ensure Karen's and other participants' safety? Should the wildlife officials have made the organizers aware of the sow and her cubs' presence near the trail? Should event participants carry bear spray as they run? I will gladly read and reply to your thoughts, so post them in the comments section below, and let's talk about it. Welcome back to Scary Bear Attacks. Today's episode takes us to a gas facility in Siberia, Russia. The gas facility lies deep in the Siberian wilderness, surrounded by taiga forests, which form part of the largest forest biome in the world. The area is known for its harsh winters, with snow often covering the landscape well into the spring months. Siberia's topography consists of dense forests, rivers, wetlands, and mountains, with elevations ranging from sea level to over 7,000 feet high. This remote environment supports diverse wildlife, including elk, wild boar, and several species of deer. The predators here include Eurasian lynx, gray wolves, Asiatic black bears, and Eurasian brown bears. The gas industry is central to Russia's economy, with much of its production concentrated in Siberia. Facilities like the Rus-Gas Burny operation extract natural gas from underground reservoirs, process it on site, and transport it through pipelines. Workers at these facilities face extreme weather conditions, isolation, and occasional run-ins with brown bears. The Siberian brown bear is one of the most powerful predators in the region, known for its size and aggressive behavior, especially during the fall feeding season. Bears are highly territorial and will react violently if startled or provoked. And if you come across a sow brown bear with cubs, she might fix you up right. In mid-October 2023, 39-year-old Elder Gariv and 46-year-old Ivan Bulashenko worked as employees of Rus-Gas Burny. Both were on duty at the facility and were performing their daily duties as they did most days. Little did Elder and Ivan know that they were about to have a life-changing encounter with a very hostile brown bear. As security cameras filmed the camp perimeter, they caught footage of a large and very curious brown bear pacing along the perimeter fence. Now, the fence wasn't anything too fancy, but was designed to keep animals out, or at least slow them down if they ventured close to the operation. For additional security, the camp kept several guard dogs who diligently patrolled the perimeter fence and provided companionship for the workers. As Elder and Ivan worked, the guard dog sounded the alarm as they detected the bear near the fence. Now, most of the time, the noise of the machinery and the barking of the dogs was enough to keep nearly any animal around at bay. The huge engines and roaring vehicles made enough noise to alert anything within a mile or so of the camp, and guard dogs augmented that alarm. But the bear that visited the site today was not scared away by the bustle and commotion of the site, nor was he intimidated by the guard dogs. As the dogs barked their alarm from inside of the fence, the brown bear began using its paws to push against the fencing. It only took a few shoves from the bear before the fence gave way, allowing it to rush inside and pursue the dogs. It isn't stated what breed the dogs were in any source I could find, but by looking at the video footage, they seemed to be huskies, a breed known for tolerance of extreme weather, but not exactly the best bear dogs. As soon as the bear rushed the fence, the horrified huskies hurried toward their only source of shelter and protection, the men and equipment of the extraction operation. Now, it isn't clear what the gas company policies are regarding worker safety and protection at the site. One thing is clear, no one fired a firearm, nor did they dispense bear spray as the bear marauded through the work camp. As Elder exited a truck trailer, the bear rushed at him and pulled him to the ground. It began tearing at his clothes and his flesh, clawing and biting his head and shoulders. That's when Ivan intervened. Seeing his colleague in danger, Ivan tried to distract the bear by yelling and waving his arms. The bear spun away from Elder and knocked Ivan down before pinning him to the frozen ground. The angry bear tore at Ivan's shoulders and head, just as it had Elder's. As terrified workers ran all over the site in a chaotic scene, a few of them banded together to save their co-workers' lives. They didn't have a firearm handy, nor bear spray, so they improvised. One of the men grabbed a fire extinguisher and rushed toward Ivan, now at the mercy of the bear. Running to within a few feet of Ivan, they let out a white, billowing cloud of fire retardant as they yelled. Spraying it directly on the bear, the men managed to drive the confused carnivore from their co-worker. It wasn't the conventional method to deter a bear, but it worked. They managed to save Elder and Ivan's lives. A video of the incident shows the bear pursuing the men around a snow-covered car while the dogs try to engage the animal. This video would not pass YouTube guidelines, so I posted it on my Patreon link, which is listed below this video for your review. After the attack, the workers were given first aid before being airlifted to a nearby hospital for further treatment. Thanks to the use of fire extinguishers, the workers managed to survive the attack with severe but non-fatal injuries. A local hunter was called in to euthanize the bear, ensuring the safety of the remaining workers at the camp. This incident has sparked discussions about the need for better safety protocols at remote industrial facilities to prevent such encounters in the future. Regarding the bear, it was alone and likely a male. It appeared to be healthy, and there is no source indicating it was tested for rabies or disease. It wasn't guarding any animal carcass, nor were there cubs present at the attack. Speaking of cubs, our Cub Tier membership on Patreon, linked below, will give you ad-free early access to our episodes. And the $3 per month goes a long way in helping me continue to produce educational and entertaining content like this. Encounters between humans and brown bears remain a significant concern in Siberia, where facilities operate far from populated areas. While workers are trained to deter wildlife using noise and deterrence, attacks can still occur. As more industrial operations develop in remote areas, the potential for human-wildlife conflicts are likely to grow. After reviewing the facts surrounding this episode, I am left with a few questions for you. Was the fire retardant cloud effective in driving off the bear? Does the cloud of bear spray, aside from the irritant aspect, deter bears? Was this bear attacking out of predatory or defensive motives? Does the noise of remote industry irritate bears, leading to attacks? I'm sure it would irritate me. I will gladly read and reply to your thoughts, so post them in the comments section below, and let's talk about it.
Thank you for watching Scary Bear Attacks. If you've enjoyed this episode, please consider clicking on the like button and clicking on the bell icon. We'll help you know when we post our new episodes. Posting our video links to your social media profiles furthers awareness, and it's fun. We slashed our prices in our merch store, linked below, so check out the bargains there while you shop. As a member of our human community, remember to adventure bravely and be careful out there, especially in bear country.